Hello and welcome to Nigerian Now on Equa Television International, where we'll be looking at various stories that are actually boiling in the country presently. Looking at various stories, looking at the African Union suspending, Niger over the coup. We'll also be looking at quite a number of stories, the strike coming from the doctors, and also we will hopefully also tend to look at the issue of insecurity in the country. We can do without talking about that. I am Stella Elisha Dashim, and I'll be doing this together with Rachel Tansay. Good afternoon,
Afternoon,
Rachel.
Sally.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
Great, thank you so much. Please, to our viewers, you can join the conversation by dropping your comment on our Facebook and YouTube, and then whatever your thoughts are concerning any of the stories on how we can come with recommendations on how to be better as a country, you can drop it there in regards to the story. Now, Rachel, let's jump the broom. Looking at what's happening presently, starting with the African Union. Today we woke up to the news, even though it wasn't today, it was yesterday, where we had the African Union suspending Niger concerning the coup, and then of course it's not surprising because definitely we saw that coming. Even though if we are going to look at it, even ECOWAS already are going to have suspended this country, the like of Niger, the like of Guinea, the likes of Mali, and also looking at Burkina Faso. These are some of the countries that have been suspended from ECOWAS as a result of the coup. But a lot of concern are coming from Nigerians, the fact that not just Nigerians, other stakeholders, the fact that ECOWAS is trying its best to maintain peace in that country. A lot is going on. We saw the likes of El-Rufai, the likes of Fani Kayode saying that war is not the way forward. In fact, just recently, Abdul Salami was in the country during the weekend, and he got to talk to the president on the fact that it is important for ECOWAS to bank on diplomacy. And he's not the first. I mean, we had Sanusi, the former emir of Kanu, went there and said the same thing. We had Islamic clerics that visited. They said the same thing on the fact that the only way peace can be, or the only way we can have a cordial relationship is when peace will resolve. War is never the way forward, because not only are we having neighboring countries to be affected, but also are going to have states that are sharing boundary with this country also, having some consequences, because we remember there was a time we saw perishable goods. A lot of people lost a lot. So quite a lot when you're going to look at this whole issue of Niger coup. We're hoping that things will get better, but it seems every day it keeps taking a different turn, Rachel. So really right now, I don't know, how do you hope to wrap your head around all of this situation happening in Niger presently?
Sally, as it is now, ECOWAS has no other option, going by its book, than diplomacy in dealing with Niger Republic. The reason being is that, okay, on the papers, we've seen that AU have suspended Niger Republic, and then this got me asking, why does it feel like Nigeria keeps meddling and meddling into the issue of Niger? It feels like there's no solution. Then the question is, what is ECOWAS means of copying things like that? Because I want to believe that ECOWAS have been a body existing and have what has been guiding it, and which is the treaty. And this will make you understand that ECOWAS is an economic union by nature. Now, its responsibility majorly is concerning relationship, economic relationship with its member state. However, they do have fundamental principles for sure, right? That goes with the fact that member states have to make sure that there is democracy in the country, rights of people are not tampered with, and all of that. But everything about ECOWAS, even its number one aim, when it comes to the treaties signed by all of these states, including Niger, is integration between member states for the union, or for the reason of economic stability and improving the standard of living for its member state. No wonder it becomes a slippery one for Nigeria, because we are trying to take a measure that there is no room for it in the books in the first place. And that is why we are facing the position where using force will only be back at our own detriment, and it will only affect the countries that decide to go on that, because there are sanctions. And when you look at these sanctions, for example, it has to do with suspension of of aids that have been given to member states, withdrawing them from activities. And as it is now, these are some of the sanctions that have been imposed, and that is where the economic community's power ends. And that is why a lot of people will come out clearly telling the president it is not in our place to use force on Niger Republic. I believe if there is a union that is more in the position of doing that with Niger Republic, should be the African Union, which we've seen without waste of time. They've given a suspension to the country and all of that. The ECOWAS is majorly in the position, right, of withdrawing themselves from Niger, or trying by all means to see that they put in measures to make sure that the economic activity that they have with Niger is not being affected by this junta. Now, don't forget that it is Nigeria that have closed its border to Niger, not Niger on the opposite side, and we have traders from the from sharing the borders in Zamfara and states that complaining that let the government open this border because they're losing billions of naira in perishable goods that cannot pass to Niger Republic. And this is where I need to say yes, ECOWAS have, and Nigeria in specific, knowing well that we have our president as the chairman of ECOWAS, have no other way than to go through diplomacy, because any other thing will, in fact, the effect will be more
felt on Nigerians.
Felt exactly.
But Richard, could it
Nigeria
be that maybe the reason why Nigeria is taking the front line is not only is our president the chairman of ECOWAS, but also in as much as ECOWAS is sitting on the economic benefit they all share. But of course, just like we've said when we're talking about this, because it's not the first time we're looking at the issue of ECOWAS, and we're looking at the fact that not only is the body language, we're going to even look at the body language of Nigerians over, because it seems they are excited about that, and then looking at some of the reasons that the juntas are giving reason why they took over power. They give the issue of bad and governance. And one thing that I've learned over the years is the fact that coups never, like, it rarely do we see coups happening in isolation. It's either as a result of experiences of other places, and no wonder we're saying that not only are member states involved in that, but even countries that are not member states. We've seen Germany coming in. We've even seen Russia. Yes. A lot of people are saying, why is China not talking? Why? Because there is something that is of economic benefit to all of these countries. Of and maybe they are scared that the coup could actually affect their economic relationship. Because, of course, Rachel, you already pointed out the fact that they do not want anything that will be detrimental to them in that country. Yeah. So whatever will stand when it comes to the issue of maybe coming in between the relationship when it comes to economically, that is when ECOWAS will say we do not want to have anything to do with you. Whatever benefit you are supposed to get, you can get it. But we cannot rule out the fact that maybe some of these countries feel that with the military presence, you can hardly penetrate the country without going through them. That was then that when we have the democracy happening there, when we had the civilian in power, you can actually just run in. But possibly maybe it's a threat already to some of these member states, because with the military as the head of state right now, it is in fact, it is difficult for them to penetrate, because the issue of oil is something that keeps coming up. Each time people look at the issue of the Niger coup, and just like you say, it's our desire that honestly, the member state will not forget their main objectives. Rather, let us stick to what are the objectives of ECOWAS, and let us see that, just like you said, we cannot overemphasize the importance of peace, because anything contrary to peace will only be detrimental to us at the end of the day. States sharing the border will definitely be affected. Countries will definitely be affected, because as it is presently, from my knowledge, ECOWAS are the first that pronounced war before we heard other states that are supporting them saying they are also on standby. In case ECOWAS try anything, they will buy. But are we trying to encourage fight? No. Of course. And we're still emphasizing the fact that the way forward to all of this is diplomacy and peace. If they say they want 3 years, because that was what the last thing they said, why don't ECOWAS come in and say, all right, let's just negotiate this year. Can we bring it down to 1? Can we bring it down to 2? And I believe that the juntas will be willing, because just like I said, they do not, in fact, Tijani doesn't look like he's ready to back down anytime soon. And we've seen that even the president, then president right now, is not well taken care of. Family members do not even have access to medical facilities to take care of themselves. So it will only mean that if ECOWAS should spell war, at the end of the day, the president might be killed and his family, and that will go back to ECOWAS. So just like you said, I just believe and I hope that they stick to this peaceful talk at all costs, no matter what it is.
And also, Sela, when you look at how things are playing, you almost think ECOWAS is a political community of West Africa, because they banked so much on the politics in Niger, whereas ECOWAS is not even in the place for that. We've said it clear that you know what the fundamental rights are there, and the democracy in Niger is even the least of what ECOWAS is all about. It's basically about economic union. However, there's one which you kept on mentioning, is one of the fundamentals there is the humanitarian rights. And you kept on saying, what are the people of Niger Republic saying? Now, are they coming out, because body language is important, in the humanitarian aspect, are they coming out to say, we do not want this? Because yes, in as much as it's a coup, we should be able to hear from Nigerians concerning what they would want in their country or not. And so far so good, we haven't heard much so far. And this is one thing that, of course, ECOWAS can step in, and other community, even way out of ECOWAS, the UN can step in. AU will have step in, and they can step in more, because when it comes to human rights, then it's no longer about West Africa, but the exactly that is. So we are also looking forward to that, and that's when we can step in politically. If not as it is now, it might be that Nigeria is trying to buy a war that we shouldn't even buy in the first place. And this also goes to West African member states of the ECOWAS that are trying to make this more political than standing in the position of being an economic union for the economic growth of West African member states.
Richard, now, still sticking to the fact of war or not war.
Yes.
Right now, let's get back to our own domestic. Let's come back to
war
Nigeria.
In Nigeria, yes.
There have been issues of insecurity lately. In fact, especially the northwestern zone of Nigeria, the likes of Zamfara, the likes of Kebbi. There have been a lot of insurgents going on there. And I recall clearly yesterday when we were looking at a glimpse at the portfolio of some of this minister, and we take out reasonable time to look at that of the Minister of Defense. And we said when he was the governor of Jigawa, then Jigawa was safe. And I clearly remember you making a point and say, how was he able to maintain peace? For the 8 years he was the governor of that state, when other Western countries and Western states were going through a lot of insecurity and insurgency. Jigawa has been peaceful over the years. Now, just recently, we had the issue of ambush of some of our soldiers in Niger State. About 20 of them died. We are going to talk about even some of our NYC core members that were on their way to Sokoto, got kidnapped in Zamfara. So, quite a lot for Nigerians to wrap their head to wonder what is really wrong. Because if I'm going to take the issue of the ambush of the plane, that the helicopter that crashed in Nigeria, this is not the first time, Rachel, we're having that. This has happened over 3 to 4 times during the Buhari regime. It is happening again. And this calls for concern, and you ask yourself this very important question: what is wrong? Who is not doing what he should do? Are we having snitches in the army? Of course, somehow. Because it will beat your mind to ask this question, Rachel. How did they know that our soldiers were on their way to Niger State and then got ambushed? So quite a lot when you even look at the timeline being given to the service chief coming from the defense minister. He said 1 year timeline.
True.
And of course, some people will be like, this is not the first time we're hearing promises coming. I mean, am I expecting something different from this service chief? Because over there we've seen reshuffling coming from this service chiefs, and then little or nothing comes. But then looking at the portfolio, when I remember when this service chief were being inaugurated, we took out time to look at some of what they have done while they were serving in their various capacities before giving this position. One, we wonder, hope they're going to carry the same fire that they had then to looking at the issues, because there seems to be insecurity tends to be taking a large chunk of the economy. Because if we're going to even look at our economy as a country, we cannot talk about that without talking about that. The country needs to be peaceful for us to be able to strive as a country when it comes to economic and even looking at other sectors for it to thrive better?
So like when you say people, insecurity takes the trunk part of the economy of the country. We can't separate insecurity with economics of a country, because with the economy, right, rather of a country, because whenever there is a war, Sele, whenever there is insecurity, this is when somebody has gotten a job. This is when people are making billions of incomes and millions in naira, be it dollar, and all of that. And I keep saying there's a root to everything. And first of all, whatever weapons these bandits, Fulani herdsmen, Boko Haram terrorists are using, it's being supplied illegally. However, they don't get it free of charge. There is a war merchant somewhere selling these weapons. Now, this is one of the root problems that the Nigerian defense can start from that root also. You understand, Sele? Because it's just, there are so many branches, right? And even a root is not just one. It's spread across. There are so many roots. Let me put it like that. 4, 1, 3. So this is one of the root that the Nigerian army or people that are in charge can start fighting. Where are these weapons coming from? Who is supplying it? And this is where, when you talk about sabotage, we can't take it away from the military, because who is supplying these weapons to people, and who are the people in charge of making sure these weapons are not being supplied? Who are the ones giving them rounds of ammunition, the bullets they use, the cartridges, and all of that? Where are they getting it from? Because this is one route also. Then what about who is giving them, who is feeding them information? Because this is a plane that was on a rescue mission. This should be a very covert operation. Like, how did they get that intel? Who is fishing them? Who is the bug in the Nigerian Air Force, the army, and who are these people, and why are we not fishing them out? Then, whether we like it or not, we may assume, but it is a fact there that we might not have the details yet, but for sure this is what is happening in our defense system. And that is why every little thing grows, and that's why we are seeing kidnapping becoming a business. It started like joke, and we are seeing reports saying that within 12 months we have people making 5 billion in ransom for over 3,629 people. This is a legit business, seller, because somebody is sitting down and is thinking, this it started small and it became big and it's still happening. What is going on? Are you trying to tell me that our armed forces don't have resources for information? Seller, they do. Does it mean that there are many factors like somebody profiting from it? Yes, there is. Does that mean that somebody sabotaging the work of a diligent soldier, a police?
Yes, there is.
There is. So these are all questions that say then people need to work. People need to work. And until we do that work, we will still be in the same position, because I am yet to see a situation that the Nigerian army cannot curtail in this country as it is now. It means that, just as you said it, there are snitches somewhere in the system. And this is the root problem as far as I am concerned. This is the root problem that the government needs to start fishing and digging at. And if they don't, then us as the common people will begin to think that, you know what, they are probably profiting from the insecurity, because why is this little thing growing and growing and growing and becoming menace that
getting out of hand?
Exactly, it's getting completely out of hand.
You know, Rachel, when I was taking my time and just like we're talking about this whole thing, it will beat your mind to know the fact that, yeah, are we saying our troops are not working? They are.
They are.
But as it looks presently, it seems as if they are running short of human power, because it seems for Asia we have recruits being done in the army, recruitment done in the police, recruitment done in different sectors, talking about our Air Force and the fact of that. But yeah, let's not forget, we keep losing some of that.
Keep losing
now, let's take, for example, the 20 that died in Niger State. We still have more that died for every assignment they win. And that is why it is important that the government should recruit more soldiers. Somebody came out to ask the question, why is it that when you're going to talk about the Nigerian army, they are the best in the world when you talk about taking them out for peacekeeping? They do excellent, fabulous, Richard. But when we come back to our country,
Mm-hmm.
you wonder something is wrong somewhere. Is it that the environment is not enabling enough for them? Are they running short of ammunition to work as
All of
they are
those
supposed to?
factors, Sele.
Now, Richard, we're not going to rule out all of these things because
Mhm.
sometimes when you compare the ammunition of our army and that of
Mhm.
the bandits, to some extent it will wow you that these people are having more sophisticated weapons than the Nigerian army.
Sure.
Then what is the problem? Are they not getting the encouragement they need? Are they not getting enough information on what should be done? Because believe you me, Rachel, the army cannot do this alone. The
They
police
can't.
cannot do this alone. They definitely rely on the community, the society to
Mhm,
feed them with information on what to do. Till date, I mean, when you go to certain checkpoints, we still have this banner that has been set for those who, if you get any of them, at 500,000 will be given to you, and then we have names. Till date, nobody have come out to say
Nobody.
anything. That is to say that somebody somewhere, are you not seeing them or are we not seeing them? Somebody must have seen them. But the thing is that people are afraid for their life. How much are you going to give me? And then are you going to protect my life when I give you this information? This is something
Yes, yeah.
I believe the Nigerian government needs to work with. And also, the defense ministry cannot work alone.
They
They
can't
definitely
work
need synergy collaboration with others.
They
Talking about
do.
Ministry of Interior,
They
talking
do.
about the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. I'm happy they added national orientation on it because a lot of people are not being given the proper orientation on how to do certain things. So right now, it's our desire, Rachel, because a lot is happening. Right now, even those core members that were being kidnapped, one of them already, the kidnapper has informed one of the parents and said a ransom of about 4 million is needed. Now, Rachel, already from what you're saying, looking at the kidnapping industry, quite a huge amount of money has already
It
been
is a
discovered there.
huge amount.
We're having more. And just like you said, that means somebody somewhere is funding them and giving them all that they need. So we hope that they'll do the right
We
thing.
hope that they do the right thing, Sele, because it's really sad when you said kidnapping industry. It has become an industry over the years, and then it is really a sad one because it shouldn't even be in the first place. And even for the government being abducted, we have clearly said that, you know what, perhaps NYSC, this shouldn't be the job only for me as a core member that have been recruited to care about my safety, but also from the day I received the call-up letter, it is in the responsibility for NYSC to do something about my safety and my security. And just as you said, Sele, it is important. I was looking forward to seeing our ministers talking about synergy, not talking about how they plan to work alone, because the defense ministry can't do it alone. He needs the minister of roads and work. He needs the minister of like I can't mention it.
There are
Sele,
quite a
but
number of
there
ministries
are
for them to
yes,
work
exactly. You need to know that growing Nigeria is not a one man business, and one ministry cannot do it alone. So we've been saying this, and we will not stop emphasizing it until we start seeing that the government of Nigeria is hearing us and are beginning to do the needful because they have the resources and all it takes to make things right in the country.
Well, Rachel, I just hope we could just continue with this whole
Yeah.
conversation quite a lot because even we've seen that even our medical consultants are planning on going on another strike.
Yes.
They're giving the federal government about 21 days
Mhm.
ultimatum. Well, I do not know. They make quite a number of demands. They said they need about 70 years retirement age
Mhm.
and then also 65 years retirement age. And they make quite a number of
They've
requests.
made it
So right
less of a
now,
demand.
we are still having our resident doctors on strike and then another strike. So what do you have to
Another.
say quickly, Richard?
Like, I just want to quickly go to Ogun State because the major reason for their strike is the hazard allowance. And when you look at it, most of these doctors are not even talking about their major pay. But we know it that benefits are what add up and make someone's standards of living better. And when you are denying these people of their benefit, it is no doubt that you will see. So the question for me to the government is, why are you not paying this benefit? Because we keep seeing allocation, we keep seeing things being spent the wrong way in the country. But the bottom line is, let it not be that you are completely not paying these people, but be consistent even with the little. If it ends up becoming an area, so far, fine. But don't make it that you are completely not giving this hazard allowance. And I believe that that is the bone of contention for our doctors, that they are not even seeing it completely. And every day we keep seeing a government who is willing to squander on the things that are not bringing growth to the nation as it is now.
Well, Rachel, we hope they'll do the right. I
We
just
hope
hope
they
that
do the
this
right
21 day ultimatum does not elapse before we start
We hope
hearing
not.
our members calling them for a seat, that
We
they will
hope
do
not.
the right thing. Thanks
Yeah.
so much, Rachel,
You're
for doing
welcome,
this with me.
Sele.
And thank you to our viewers, our supporters for always keeping a day with us on the program Nigerian Now. Until we come here again, bye for now.